Hi out there in YouTube land, this is Keisha again. So I'm coming to you today because I wanted to talk about solo tripping. I have been doing solo tripping since 2011, and I absolutely love it. Since I've been able to go on a trip by myself in my starting at 28, no, excuse me, 29, 30. um I've had the most fun. I met the most people, and it is so much fun. So I wanted to give everybody a little heads up of what really is solo tripping. Yes, it is going on a trip by yourself, but there are benefits and pros and cons to both of the ways. So I'm going to start with the pros. The pros is you get to decide where you want to go, when you want to go, how you want to trip. So if you want to take that cruise that you've been dreaming of for the last 10 years, which was my thing. I have always wanted to go on a cruise. I was trying to convince my family to do the cruise, and they were like, no. Or I don't do planes. Or, I mean, I guess my grandmother always had woken this like warrior traveling spirit in me. So I always want to go somewhere. Um, Nowadays, I like to plan my big trips and do that like once a year or once every 2 years, depending on how big the trip is. But I love traveling. So, my first pro for you is research where you want to go. You have all these dreams, you have all these desires of where you want to go. Put it in a book and just look them up. I mean, nothing's better than the present. And while you're researching, research the best time to go. So I've been on about 5 cruises by myself. I'm going on my first international trip by myself for Thanksgiving this year, which I am both nervous and excited for at the same time. So there is a lot that I had researched for that trip. Next year, I am doing a trip that I have been dying to do, and I haven't been in 20 years. In fact, when I go there, it'll mark almost exactly 21 years since I've been there, which will be Disney World. And for the first time, I will be going to Universal. So I will be talking about that on a separate blog, but I wanted to talk about solo tripping. So for the Costa Rica trip, I took about a month to decide where I was going to go. Um, and that's only mainly because of research. The idea was to go to Dominican Republic, and as of July 7th, when this is being recorded, there are a lot of issues of going on with the Dominican Republic right now, and I literally had made the reservations for this trip prior to all that coming out. So I would say divine intervention for God's blessed kid right here. So, don't clock me for my nails. I have to go to the nail salon tomorrow, so stop. And it was a blessing in disguise because I was just like, oh my God, I am so glad I didn't make that trip to DR right now. So yeah, research. Number one, research the locales you want to go, research the resorts you want to go, and research the time of year you want to go. Second pro tip I would say is know your budget. I am going to an all-inclusive resort in Costa Rica for 9 days. It might extend to 10. I haven't made that decision yet. For 9 days. Yeah. At Thanksgiving. So one of the things I did learn that around the time that I'm going is the low season in Costa Rica. Secondly, from the research and knowing what type of trip I wanted an all-inclusive, all-adult resort. I did not want to be around kids. People who know me outside of YouTube world know I work with children. I work with the most traumatic children you can think of. So really, I don't want to be around kids. I want to be around adults having adult conversations and adult drinks. You know how that is. And yeah, so that is what I am doing. So I knew exactly what I wanted to do. It was just the locale and the price and the time that was pushing me. Um no Find a pro tip number 3. Find a provider that's going to work with your payments. Yes. So, when the reason why I went on so many cruises was because I can make a reservation for a year out and pay on that cruise, or 2 years out and pay on that cruise. They didn't put me on no payment plan or anything. I put myself on a payment plan, and I was able to pay off the whole cruise 3-4 months before the cruise even left, or the due date. So most likely the due date. So you're looking at 6 months before the cruise is done. And then within those 6 months, I would pay for any excursions I want, any special activities I wanted to do. So that's why I did cruises. Now that I'm doing my first international trip to Costa Rica, this one is really a short turnaround for me. So I was able to find a provider who would work with my payments, or in your case, you can work with a travel agent. I was a travel agent at home, so I kind of know some of the companies that they use and kind of know what their ratings were back when I was a travel agent. So there's a lot of things that I will not use. So this is a non-sponsored plug. I was suggested Bookit by a friend, and I went on Bookit, and Bookit has for its Caribbean destinations, which includes Central America and the islands. They have this thing called FlexPay. So you will pay a low down payment, either $49 or $99. I pay $49, and then you pay 6 flex payments. So my trip, because it was in November, at the end of November, was right on the deadline for it being 6 to 7 months out. I made this booking back in April. I did my second payment last month. I'll be doing my third payment this month. So yeah, no, excuse me. I'll be doing my second payment this month outside of the deposit. So I found them to work with me on my payment schedule, because unless I have big bucks to roll out on a trip immediately, I need a payment schedule. Definitely. My third pro tip is, when you go to the destination, try not to look like that ignorant tourist. I'm from New York, so we can clock tourists real quick because they have the big paper maps, or they're all in their phone trying to figure out how to get from place to place. I try to immerse myself as much as I can with the location I'm in, and I try to talk to the locals and see exactly where are the best places to go. So I've done that on cruises. This last cruise I went on in end of December, beginning of January, I did my first excursions on a cruise, through the cruise line, I should say. And though it was a little bit pricey, I felt a lot more safer because I was with a cruise tour guide that was known by the cruise line, and I was with a bunch of people. Prior to this, outside of one trip I took with some sorority sisters, I have only done solo trips. So I've only did one excursion by myself in Jamaica, and it was the biggest mistake I ever made. I got taken for $100 out my purse, outside of the $50 for the tour. So it was not a good experience for me. Yeah. So yeah, that leads me to pro tip number 4 that I have been told this tip. I have not decided whether or not I'm going to go about it, but because this is my first international trip, I'm taking as many suggestions as possible. So my friend told me that make my excursion um, trips through the hotel. And when I asked her why, because through the hotel is a little more expensive, but if I go through Bookit, is a little less expensive. She said because if anything happens, you don't have to call the 800 number for assistance. The hotel knows where you're going. The hotel knows where you are or where you're going to go. So do it through the hotel. It saves you a whole lot of headache. So unfortunately, I cannot make I like to pay my stuff in advance. So right now with the hotel that I'm going to, I can't make those reservations for those excursions until I get on property. So I know that I'm probably going to have to bring at least $600 extra with me because of the trip that I'm taking. It is 9 days. So I want to do at least 2 excursions. And if we're looking at excursions that are going to be over $150, $100, $200, I can only do 2. So I'm going to have to bring an extra $600 with me on that trip. The cons. Oh, wait a minute. One more pro. Don't worry about being alone. That is everybody's big fear. They're like, oh, I'm by myself. I'm not going to have any fun. In the past, with me going on a cruise, I have made so many friends. People I still keep in contact with to this day through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If they're watching this video, hey, how you doing? What's up? But on a cruise or on a vacation, you are a different person. You're not the person that you are at home. So if you want to try something or meet new people, or hell, go up to that good looking guy and say, hey, what's up? You want to dance? Hey, it's a totally different world when you're out of your home and out of your own sphere. So do it. Have fun. Live it up. Do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Cons is that it can be very expensive to go by yourself. When I go on a cruise, I have to pay double rate unless I'm on a cruise line that will offer a single supplement. There are very, very few cruises that do that, and that was the end of that. As for this pending trip that I'm taking to Costa Rica, I actually got a kind of good deal on that. It was originally for the 9 days for the time I was going. It was over $6,000. I got it for less than $2,500 with airfare, all inclusive. So I got really lucky through Bookit to get that rate in that time of year. Well, that's the other thing. I was told Costa Rica during the end of November is their low time. So that also plays into it. And the resort that I'm staying is fairly new. So by the time I get there, it'll be just turning a year old. But all the reviews that I read about it made it sound great. There was not, the only bad review I saw, which was 4 versus 5. Yeah, that bad. Was 4 versus 5 at the time of booking, was because she wanted more cultural dishes of Costa Rica and she didn't get it. So she gave the hotel a 4. Okay. Ask questions when you get there. Please ask questions. So the cons are, outside of being alone, the fear of being alone, you're really not alone. That it is expensive if you go by yourself. And then and that's the only 2 cons I can really think of. So I say solo tripping is awesome. You get to know yourself much better. Me being on a solo trip, I learned a lot about myself through the eyes of others. Not people that I met, but just how I reacted to things. So once I come back from my solo trips, I'm usually more relaxed. Of course, more relaxed. You go on vacation, but I'm more in tune with myself, and I know how much BS I'm gonna put up with. Because if I had a good trip and nothing went wrong, I want to carry that for at least 6 to 7 months, and I usually do. If I had an okay trip, I'm gonna be back to that old funk in like 2 months and be like, okay, time to go. But if you follow my tips and don't worry about the bad stuff, just do what you got to do, you'll be fine. So that is my my video on solo tripping. I am going to bring you the video about my Costa Rica planning, and also I'm going to do my video for next year's theme park trip. Yes, girl, I'm going to a theme park for 9 days. I think it's 9. It might be 10. I don't know. And it's reasonably priced. Yes, I said reasonably priced. I will get back to you soon. So this is Keisha. Remember, love is love. I am God's blessed kid, and so are you. And have a blessed day. Bye.